Now it's time for our energy update with Dan McTeague, President of Canadians for Affordable Energy. Take it away, Dan.
Thank you very much, Julie. Although I don't think many people are going to be thanking me after I tell them what's in store for this week. We're already well into near the midpoint in April. And as we've mentioned here many times on this program for the past, 3, 4, 5 weeks, get ready. Because News Forum is probably going to be the first one to be able to convey the fact that gas prices are on their way up. And the reason is severalfold. One, the Canadian dollar continues to show weakness. We price all of our commodities in U.S. terms. This time last week, 135 pennies to buy a U.S. dollar. We're now approaching $1.138 pennies. So that's good for another cents increase. But we are now looking at the switch from winter to summer gasoline. And we've talked about that. It could be anywhere from 6 to 8 cents a liter. Atlantic Canada has already been treated to an 8 cent a liter increase. That happened, of course, in Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, PEI overnight, and on Thursday in Newfoundland. The rest of the country can expect to pay that as well. So let's just go from coast to coast, starting in Vancouver, where it's about $2.10 to $2.11 a liter. Look for those prices by this time next week to be a lot closer to $2.18, $2.17, so another 6 cents a liter. The rest of British Columbia looking more like a 5 cent increase. If we go over to Alberta, we'll see that prices there have been pretty stable in the, holding very tight in the low $1.60s. Look for that to go up about 6 cents a liter. And that's, again, switch over from winter to summer gasoline. Saskatchewan will see a similar increase, but sometimes they like to hold off. I don't know why, but they tend to take a few more days before they finally have to pass on this switch over from winter to summer gasoline. So we will see them pushing the $3. Sorry, $3. I misspoke. We'll see them pushing up a little closer, a lot hugging around the $1.65 range. For Manitoba, which of course doesn't have the 14-cent provincial sales tax, they will not escape this. They'll be back up about 5 cents a liter to $1.48, $1.48.9, especially in Winnipeg. And of course, Ontario, which is currently in the $1.64 range, $1.65, especially in Southern Ontario, look for that to push to $1.70 this time next week. Quebec, always 9 cents a liter more expensive because of taxes, although it's narrowing with neighboring Ontario. They will be in the $1.80 range, while Atlantic Canada is already paying between $1.88 and $1.90 for a liter of gasoline. I suspect that we're going to see another 2 cent increase when their regulatory bodies kick in and pass on these increases that we're seeing, not just because of the switch over from winter to summer gasoline, but because of the weak Canadian dollar. We also see a surge in the price of oil. Oil is now pushing towards $88 a barrel. Last week it was 85. The week before that it was 81. So you can see where oil is going. Finally, markets have had to recognize that there is a strong demand for oil and just supply that isn't there. 10 years of finding ways to divest and to rely on other people for our products when in fact we have plenty here at home is now having significant consequential impacts on consumers. And we haven't really hit the summer driving season, which is always good for another 5 to 8 cent a liter increase. What it really means in all this, Julie, is that we're looking at a scenario where across Canada, the new normal for the summer, all prices considered, will be a lot closer to $2 a liter. That's something we haven't seen since 2022. When we saw those big spikes, Vancouver 242 back in October 2022, Toronto 214.9 back in June of 2022. We saw those spikes go up and then we saw it come down. This time it's flatlined at the high end. So we're going to continue to see very high prices for the next little while. And I don't see much in the way of any relief, especially when you have a federal government that's insistent not just on increasing the carbon tax, the first one, to an average of 20 cents a liter, which is much higher than the rate of inflation. That's about 12.5% on the cost of gasoline, 15% for diesel. We also see a second carbon tax making its way likely by next year. We're the budget this week, of course, in Ottawa. I'm looking for some kind of signal from the federal government to alleviate some of the concerns about the second carbon tax in the sense of a biofuel standard in which they're going to incentivize a lot of refineries to sign on, reduce their emissions by giving them credits towards making more biodiesel. It'd be very hard for another government to try to remove that, but these are comments that I will make now, which in a year from now will be seen as, hey, slightly ahead of our own time and to a large extent anticipating what's going to happen in this industry. Bottom line, summer gasoline is more expensive for refiners to make. Winter gasoline is cheaper. Around the second week of September, we saw gas prices fall 8 cents a liter. because we went to winter gasoline. We're going to see that equivalent increase of 8 cents a liter. So fasten your seatbelts. If you can get gasoline before Sunday anywhere in Eastern Canada, with the exception of Atlantic Canada, it's already seen it, might be a good idea to get out there and do it. Have a good weekend, and we'll talk to you shortly, Julie.